Hello, class. I hope everyone is doing well. Um, we've been doing art club for a couple of weeks now, and I just wanted to check in and make sure that everyone understands the concepts we've done. So far, we've done life drawing, perspective, and we've also done shading. So, in this week's video, I wanted to go through the shading techniques again because we didn't go through all of them. I explained the different shading techniques, but I did not show all of them. So I wanted to do that for this video. I also wanted to talk a little bit about what we did last week when it came to life drawing. And so last week, the first thing we did was we outlined a body type. And what we did for that is that we created different pieces and different shapes and what could create the body type. So in last week, we used lines and we also used circles to create a body type. So the lines basically represented the outline of the body, and the circle represented the different parts of the body. So for example, last week we drew a line going down and then one coming across the top, and then we put two circles at the end to represent the shoulders. So the reason I'm repeating this is because I wanted to explain how things we've learned before when we were younger are coming back. Things we learned before are what we can use again. And this is very important to understand because it's I want you guys to understand that it's not as hard as you think it is. And you really can do this. You really can create life drawing, any type of art that you want. So what we did last week was I basically explained how the circles that we drew on each side of the horizontal line, because we drew a line here going down, and then we made the line come across right here. So this line basically represented the shoulder line, and then we added two circles at the end to represent the shoulder. And then going down, we continued. So when we added the arm, we made a long diagonal line coming across from the circles of the shoulder, and those lines had two more circles in it. Those lines had the circle for the elbow, and then another circle to represent the wrist of the hand. So anyways, my whole point is that the things that we've learned, the things that we've done when we were younger, shapes and things of that sort are now used to help us to create these three-dimensional figures that we're trying to make. So along with that, along with drawing the outline of the body, we also worked on the arms, and we worked on the arms itself, how to draw an arm, and we learned how to draw a hand, and we learned how to draw fingers. This is just a refresher for everyone who wasn't here last week, and as well as at the ending of this video, I will show you some shading techniques. So we learned to draw the hand, and I will show you an example of what we drew with the hand. So let's say there was already a body right here, like this. This would be the shoulder. This circle would be the shoulder. And this other circle will also be the shoulder. And then we drew a line coming down from the shoulder like this. And then another line coming down from the shoulder like this. And then we added another circle right here. Well, a smaller circle. Let's make this a bit smaller. So this is basically just guidelines for us to understand things, okay? So we made a little circle here and a little circle here. Okay, these circles represent the elbows. And then we made another circle here, another circle here. These represent the wrist. And then we just added more of an oval shape. And these oval shapes represented the arm. This is what the arm would be now. and then we added another circle, another horizontal line. This horizontal line represents where your navel would be, so your torso. This is where your torso would end, and then it would start here. So we'd go like this from the chest coming down, like this, from connecting from the shoulder to here. And this is where your torso would be, and then we added another line. And this line basically represented where the hip would be. Okay, so this is where our hip would start, so we add another circle here. So this would be like the hip bone, and another circle here, and then the other hip bone. So I'm just doing this as an example to show you that we just use lines and circles to create what we're going to see become a shape. You can already tell here that this is going to become a shape. And then we would just add a different line here and a different line here, and then this would become the neck. So this line was already representing the neck for us as indication for where the neck is. And then we erase this part. And this is where the neck would be. Obviously, this is coming out more robotic, but this is kind of the idea. And then we kind of use these as guidelines too, because the circles for the shoulder, that's way bigger, because that's how naturally our body type is that the circles and our shoulders are bigger, right? And then the bones, the muscles in our shoulders are bigger, so they would be the biggest ones. And then the muscles and bones in our elbows are smaller, and then the wrist would be a little bit smaller than the elbow, and then the hands would, these ovals would represent the hands. So what we would do is we would basically just draw an outline and another outline. Okay, this is looking like a little big, but whatever, like however you want to draw your body type, okay? But so you're basically just gonna draw an outline, and then you erase in between. You erase in the middle of all that. So it's like this and like this, like so. So now this becomes the arm. And then so you kind of erase things that don't look normal to you. You kind of erase things that aren't needed. So you kind of erase this part because that's not needed. See? You kind of erase that. So it's like after doing all of this, you start creating the technique on your own. You start fixing it up. So like my shoulder doesn't need to be that big, so I start fixing it up. But the whole point of drawing it, like outlining it like this first, is because you want to make sure that the body type it has the right proportions. So naturally, how our body is, the length from here to our elbow, it's a certain proportion, it's a certain measurement, it's a certain size. And then from our elbow to our shoulder, that's also a certain size. So the reason we do these lines and these circles is to make sure that we're getting it as closely, as accurately as possible to your actual body type. When we're doing life drawing, that's what we're doing. We're trying to make it, for your actual body type. If you're interested in fashion designing, this is normally something what you would do, because when you're making fashion design, you're drawing clothes for someone's body. So you want your figure, you want your life drawing to look as closely and as proportionate to how somebody's body would be. Because for example, if you're making a skirt, you want the skirt to be almost the correct size. You want the skirt to match the correct size of the hips. You want it to be correct. Okay, you want your shirt, if you're making a shirt, you want the shirt shoulders to be correct. So it's helping us to do all these things that we want to. If you're interested in animation, it's the same thing. It's basically teaching you how a body would be built. For example, let's say you're building the Hulk. You see how the Hulk is. So it's like, okay, I'm building the Hulk. I want, the Hulk is like bigger in the Hulk is bigger in size. So then you're going to create lines. You're going to create lines, for example. Let's say we're building the Hulk. You're going to create a line like this. and then you're gonna do it like this. But you're like, oh, I'm making the Hulk, so I want I want the Hulk shoulders to be way bigger. You know, so you draw the line, you want the shoulders to be bigger. You draw the line longer, you draw the shoulders bigger than what would actually be on a normal body type, because Hulk is bigger in size. So, and it's the same thing with the torso. You add a torso, but then you kind of make it more bulky like this because you want it to be bigger in size. So I apologize for using this marker and this board. This is an easier way for me to show you. So obviously it's not, you know, as professionally done, but this is just to help you like understand more. So the whole point of um learning how to figure draw, how to body draw, is that if you have interest in anything like animation, fashion design, um animes, doing anything like that, creating games, anything you want to do in the future, even if you just want to have fun, this is something to learn. It's important to understand proportions and the body types, and then eventually you won't need to use circles. You won't need to use these lines. Eventually you do it on your own. Another good thing to remember is that I always say the lines and the circles that we draw first, I say that these are the bones. And then when you create the outline and you leave the bones, you leave the line in the middle. That line in the middle would be the bone, and then the outline would be the muscles, the outline would be the skin, all of that. But it's just very important to learn this technique because, you know, you want to learn how to do it properly. Eventually you'll be able to do it by yourself, and that's good, but it's also good to learn it, you know, on your, it's also good to be able to just do it on your own. Also, when you're making the foot, let's just start from the hip line. You go like this. Let's say this is the hip line. You add the two circles for the hip bone, and then you go down. So we're drawing the hip, and we're drawing the feet, and we're drawing the legs. So you go down and we go down. So we'll put a circle right here because the circle represents the ankles. And we put another circle, I'm sorry, this circle represents the knees, okay? Then we put another circle here, just right above. Put another circle here, put another circle here. These circles are going to be smaller, and these circles would now, I'm sorry for that line. These circles will now represent the knee. So these circles represent the knee, and then you want to add an oval-like shape again, and another oval-like shape again, because these will now represent the feet. Okay, so then after a while, based on how your person is standing, obviously my person is standing with their legs, you know, apart, you just start adding things. So if I wanted to draw a guy with pants on, I could do that. So it's like, remember, but these are the bones. So it's like now we're filling it out. So now my guy, I probably want him to be a little bigger. I want his feet to be bigger. So we're going to do it like this. Okay? We're going to do it like this, and then we're going to give him big feet. But the whole point is like you draw the outline after, so then you erase. Then you erase. But what's important is that the proportion is right, because we know that this is the knee, and we know that this is the hip, and we know that these are the ankles. So that was the whole point of the circle. I'm going to now show you. So that's basically life drawing. That's basically life drawing. We use these circles and we use these lines to basically help us indicate. This is just to help us indicate where body parts go, where everything goes, making sure it's the right measurement. And again, you don't have to, once you learn this technique and you understand it, you don't have to continue doing it. And eventually you'll start creating characters. If you want to be a character drawer, I know as kids and children, you're very interested in like watching animation and cartoon and video games and stuff like that. So understand that these proportions do not have to be exactly how I showed you. It just has to be right. So if I'm drawing a guy, if I'm drawing a character and I want him to be really chubby, okay, let's say I want my character to be really chubby and round, and I want him to have like feet like this, kind of like roly-poly, right? I want him to have like feet like this. You want to make sure the proportion is right for your character, not for just overall life drawing, but if you want to make sure your proportion is right for your character. So suppose you're like, Miss Tiana, I want to draw a character, but I want the proportions to be right. So in something like this, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna draw something small, like a round character, like in Roly Poly, okay, or Mrs. Puff in SpongeBob. Then I'm just like, okay, well, let me just think about, what Miss Tiana showed me. We're drawing proportions. So it's like, okay, the first thing I need to do is draw the line. Then I need to draw the vertical line going down and then the horizontal line going across. Now when you're thinking, okay, I want my character to have I want my character to look like this, and I don't want his shoulder to be so far apart. So then you just erase. And then you add circles to it, and then you want his legs to be short. You don't want him to have a hip. So then you add another line and you use circles. So it's like, my point is, you can create whatever character you want to. You can create any type of life drawing that you want to, but just try and use this technique. The whole point of the technique is for you to outline things. It's for you to outline things so you can draw it. So it's not necessarily you're drawing the proportions for an actual body, because everybody's body type is different, but you're drawing it for the body type. So if you get something like an assignment to draw a character that's short and fat, you know how to draw that. If you get an assignment to draw a character that's really skinny, you're going to use this technique to try and draw it. Use lines and circles to try and draw it. It's just like when you were in elementary school. They would tell you, draw the letter A, and the letter A would be like this. The letter A would be, when you were younger, before you even knew how to do this, they would put it out like this. And they would say, today we're learning to draw the letter A. And they would give it to you like this. Now what do? You're a child, you're just learning. So what you do, you connect the dots, right? Because that's how they're teaching you. That's how they're helping you. So it's like when you're starting out life drawing, you're using these lines and these circles to help you connect the dots. You're using these lines and you're using these circles to help you connect the dots. So it's very important to learn these things, because it's like, once you learn it the right way, if you went into elementary school and they just told you draw an A, you wouldn't really know how to do it, but they drew those lines for you to follow the lines so you can learn how to draw an A. Everything is a step, everything is a process, and it's art, so it should always be fun. So you should always take your time to learn these techniques. You're gonna get it. Believe in yourself. You can do it. Just always, always, always keep practicing. Keep doing these techniques over and over again. I'm going to show you the shading techniques in a different video. I wanted to make sure that I said what I had to say and enough about the life drawing in this video. So that's basically what we did last week. The video before this, I only highlighted a couple of what we would have done in class. So this video is just a preview of what we did all of last week and what you should continue practicing. Look back at this video so you can continue practicing on how to do life drawing, especially if it's something you want to continue doing. It's always good to just have a video to look back. If you're just at home and I want to draw a character, or I want to design some clothes or whatever, you can always look back at this video and you can always draw. And always feel free to look up things. Look up how to draw body types or whatever. Just keep practicing over and over again. But it was just important that I explained to you why it's important that you learn to draw body types the right way. Okay, and always, always, always remember to have fun with this. It might seem hard at first. It's supposed to seem hard because it's the first time you're doing it, but it's okay. It will get easy, especially if you practice it over and over again. So just keep doing that. And I hope you understood what I was saying, and we're gonna have a good week, and I hope you enjoyed this video and enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you.